few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans. Another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. So I've been listening to an audiobook. Let's talk about that for a second because I'm looking over here and I see it open. Chris Voss, I think he was some sort of FBI hostage negotiator or something like that, and Never Split the Difference. That guy Walt that was on here a couple weeks back on a Friday mentioned that, and I put it into I looked at it on YouTube, and that puts it into your history. So I was digging through my history earlier today, and found that, started listening to it. Actually, it might have been yesterday I started listening to that. Pretty interesting. It's a robot, though. It's a robot reading the text. It's a little difficult to listen to. It is interesting because it's chopped into chapters. I can't drop a link in here, so I have to go look for it if you really want. Never Split the Difference. I see barbecues out there. I guess I'll drop a link out here if anybody wants to jump in, feel free. But there's chapters on it, which is kind of neat. I haven't seen anybody do that before. I don't know if it's a new YouTube thing or just some glitch that I don't know about yet. But anyway, it lets you jump back and forth between chapters. I've been listening to the same chapters, chapter like 3 through 6, about 8 times now. It's so frustrating to listen to that robot. But interesting book. He basically talks about the whole bunch of different aspects of being a hostage negotiator. Let's see. So it is episode number something. I'll go look over here and try to figure out what the episode is. 1103. We got people jumping in today. We got barbecue out there, GTP, and Erstwhile. I think I got something in the mail from Erstwhile today. Did you send me something? But I didn't open it yet. I went out and grabbed it and then jumped into Matt's show. And I've been in there since it arrived. Let's see. So I have up on the screen here. Oh, I'm not screen sharing. Up on the screen here, we're looking at the Patriot Act and the Law Enforcement Officers Safety Act. So, Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act, LEOSA. So LEOSA is how they say it all the time. And that's been around since 2004. And I thought it was older than that. But most of the time I've been hanging out with cops and hearing about stuff, they've mentioned it. And I guess the way that it's been mentioned, I just assumed it was around longer. But we were just chatting with, holy moly, just chatting over there with Matt's chat. And that cop from Texas was in there talking about how the Patriot Act allows him to drive around with his guns. That didn't sound right to me because I was pretty sure it was LEOSA. And I just looked up the Patriot Act, and I don't see anything in the Patriot Act that says that. So I think he's just getting them mixed up. But Patriot Act is from 2001. That was just like days after 9/11. And that's more of like privacy, electronic privacy, that kind of thing. Foreign intelligence, family education rights and privacy, money laundering control, bank security, right to financial privacy, fair credit reporting, immigration and nationality, victims of crime act, telemarketing, and consumer fraud and abuse prevention. That's all the different acts in the Patriot Act. So it's much more, hey, wait a minute, let's not let the criminals do criminal stuff on the internet and on the line, I guess, where LEOSA from 2004, a couple of years later, it allows qualified law enforcement and retired law enforcement to go around doing their thing. So the law says, do they have a good summary in here? Not really. It's been amended a few times, so the definition has expanded, but originally it was, I think it just let them basically carry their guns wherever, anywhere within the United States. National measures of uniformity and consistency allows officers to carry a concealed firearm, quote unquote, anywhere in the United States. In addition, Congress rejected efforts to allow states to opt out of LEOSA. So any state that wanted to say no that wasn't allowed to. The government said no, which is actually interesting because then they shouldn't be able to. How come they can say, the feds can say, no, you gotta let cops with guns, but the feds can't say or won't say you gotta let CCWs. That's interesting. So anyway, I just figured I was looking that up. We would chat about that. I'm yawning. Matt's chat's super boring. It really bored me. You know, I try to stay in there to keep his views up or whatever, to keep the ladies in the audience. I get a lot of requests from the ladies out in this audience, very feminine audience over there, for me to join this chats more often. So I was in there, but man, it's a boring, very, very boring chat. I think they're still going because they're trying to cork me right now. It's okay because Matt makes a ton of money on YouTube, and I'm going to sue him, you know, for corking me. So I don't mind making money, but yeah, super boring being in his chat. You don't ever want to listen to his chats, especially after I leave it, and it's even worse, even more boring. I can't believe that. Wow, they're still going over there though. It's messed up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close that window. Oh, here's barbecue. I was going to say, if nobody jumps in here, I'll probably just fall asleep or something. What the hell? All right, so there's barbecue jumping in. What's happening?
Not much. How about yourself?
Not really a bit of another yawn. Well, I don't know. Night Strike and Roll Call were just wrapping up as well, but they are polite and ended their show before the show.
Well, about time should everybody show you some respect there, G.
Mm-hmm. Well, look at this guy, DB Cooper.
Who's that?
In here. Hey, long time no see. DB Cooper's from the big early crew of gun channels back in the day.
You just like handing out invites to this shit now? That's how it is?
Yeah, it's mostly just a conversation. We'll see what happens. With this El Pato that I'm running it on now, because they got rid of Hangouts, I got the power to kick people the fuck out if they're weird. So, you know what I mean?
I like this. I see a lot of StreamYard. That was pretty simple. I don't know how to mute. Let me see.
So yeah, you don't have
Down in the lower left.
You don't have to be a member. You don't have to join nothing. You can just send people the link like that, and they just jump in.
Wow, that is.
So you were in here a while back, and I was watching something. Oh, what was I watching? I was watching something about. It wasn't about that 808, but it was something about old mixers or synthesizers or something, and that made me wonder: is the dB part from dB from decibel?
No, that's like for my real name.
Oh, okay. I didn't know because everybody just assumed it was DB Cooper from that, and I was wondering, oh man, nobody ever asked you. You had the whole thing and everything, and I was just thinking, oh shit, maybe that was more of a DB type of thing.
No, my real name is Daniel Balllicker. Right. So basically, it's just I was just like, oh shit. Early on, like I always loved that movie, but also it came from a lyric from one of my favorite artists. He said something like he was like DB Cooper.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, oh, because there's no other Americana like that guy. It's very unique.
And whenever anybody was talking about it back in the day, it was like before all the crazy documentaries that probably figured out whatever answers they figured out. Like he turned out to be a retired guy in the shooting world.
I don't know if they ever found. I mean, there was all kinds of stories.
I thought that he was.
Yeah, that he died, that he got away, that he had the money, that he died when he jumped out the plane. I don't know if they ever really solved it.
Oh, I thought that they had. That's what I'm saying. I thought that maybe they had gotten a guy who had admitted it and had the proof or something, or it was like, even though he's dead, it pretty much seems like it had to be this guy or else somebody who was an accomplice because he had all the pieces of evidence or something. I thought it was something like that.
Yeah,
but anyway,
for sure.
Well, I heard they never found him. There's rumors that he escaped into Mexico. Other rumors that when he jumped out over the Northwest, he just picked a bad time. I guess it was storming or something, and they think he didn't survive the jump.
Well, like at the time, I was thinking maybe about 4 years ago or something that there was some kind of news that came up after a guy had died, and it was just sort of like,
I got you.
No, I remember. It was some guy like out of Texas or something that was like, I'm him. Right. And he had some proof and stuff, but that was maybe after gun channels. Maybe 4 years ago. Yeah, like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know. Things get crazy. I basically just judge my life on gun channels and then after gun channels.
Right on.
So I'm like a 10-year-old.
When you're talking to people who have that as a frame of reference, it makes sense. So how are things going down there?
Man, you see, I'm alive. I'm alive, man. It's alive. Things are going, man. I mean, I don't know.
Is it crazy down there, or have things calmed down there?
You mean riot-wise?
Yeah, like craziness.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's quieter with the riot, but it's kind of funny being in those places and seeing the boarded up windows. And like, they robbed the Sleep Number place. Like, did they really loot the fucking Mattress King? Like weird, like Pearl Optics got robbed. It's just really strange. But yeah, I'm sure they'll fix it.
Whenever they have that one go, you've probably seen all kinds of different videos, right? So there's the kind of video where the person will go up and just knock windows out. You can tell they're whatever they call agent provocateur of whatever, like whatever their reason is. They're literally just walking up and causing damage and getting the hell out of there. And as soon as I saw the first one before all the speculations, I was like, oh shit, like if, the COVID happened, right? The Chinese thing. So if you're about to go out of business and you're like, oh shit, a riot.
Oh, yeah.
Like boom, boom, boom. And,
bricks.
And with an insurance check, I'm like, it might be, at least some of it had to be like an entrepreneurial person who has insurance. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. I'm sure there was some of that. Like, my fucking restaurant's not doing too well since COVID. Yeah. Like, and they're coming down the street. Well, can we arrange bricks?
Exactly.
Like, and gasoline and maybe like one of those
or maybe like that story that you always hear, like the little old lady that won't move because she's lived there her whole life and the place wants to make a big apartment. It's like, oh shit, there's going to be a riot, we're going to lose our first floor of our apartments anyway. Let's put some bricks up and get rid of that old lady while we're at it.
No, dude, this is like I don't want to be racist or anything, but when I was a kid, it was called Jewish lightning, and it was just like, oh, your car dealership's not doing too well. Oh, your restaurant's not doing too well. And all of a sudden it would get hit with that Jewish lightning. And I'm Jewish. I can say that.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying it, because that couldn't be.
No, I'm very Jewish.
Like the whole insurance scam concept back in the 70s was totally the thing. Like, oh crap, I'm going out of business. Yeah. Well, it's either going to turn into a tax shelter for some like mafia or get burned down or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. I just saw you. I see you live on here, and I was like, oh, you just put a link in the chat, because I didn't even know. I know you know what's crazy is, though, I still follow some YouTube stuff that does live, and they seem like they've all figured it out somehow, like either if it's a Zoom call or I have no idea, but I see the StreamYard a lot.
Well, this is free, so you know how Hangouts was and everything, and it went up and down and shit, but it was pretty much the same until they just said on December or September 27th or something, click, it's off. So then you just didn't have it anymore. There's some other stuff, some software we can run on our computers, and I think I paid like 40 something bucks for the first year of a $60 program that would normally be $60 a year, and that's software that lives on my machine. And I literally had to buy a bigger computer to be able to run it because it's substantial software that needs a video card and shit. And then it connects to the internet, and then it connects to YouTube, and it just connects, period. It doesn't give us a hangout room or nothing. So it was only like half the effort. And then there was 2 systems like that, but then you'd still have to do something. You'd still have to open up a hangout room and then share your screen like what Matt does on his show. Some like half-ass way of like scabbing it together. So and this thing came along, and then Night Strike out there built the gun tube, and then he's put a thing on there called the Chamber, which gives us the same thing except a little bit different features. You can have like 30 people in it, but yeah, there's just the 2 options that give us something similar to Hangout. Or I guess, and now Zoom. I only used Zoom once, and it was kind of weird. But you probably notice because I kind of clicked you in here right away. But when you clicked that link, you went into like a no man's land. You went into like a green room, we call it. And you can't do nothing in there. You can chat in the internal chat, but that's it. But So that way I'm pretty comfortable dropping the link out there, because if somebody who I've never seen before clicks in there and I let them in, I can kick them out. You know, it's got that feature.
So funny. Dude, I see these channels, like some of these unscrupulous guys that will be like, if you want to join this show, it's $50. Like, and then yeah, like they'll be like, oh, you want, $20? Like, you can come on in here for $20. So that's kind of, I wondered how, or I just thought like someone would pay and then they'd get sent the link.
Where's my $50?
You can keep the people in. No,
you understand. That's how it works. Where's my $50?
No, for sure, man. Dude, I bought something from somebody a long time ago.
Charging $50. I definitely.
Dude, all that. Come on, I sucked somebody's dick to get into gun channels before. I remember I couldn't suck your dick to get into gun channels, but I think you sent somebody from Arizona. You're like, you got to suck that guy's dick, and I was like, what? And I did it, man. Then I had carte blanche. I was like,
that was a whole different
number 3. I was like I was the 3rd member of gun channel.
But anyway, so I don't know who's doing something like that. Is that so that you get advice, or just so that you can stand there next to them?
Oh no, so you could just bask in their fucking glory of their ham radio knowledge or whatever it is.
Nice.
I don't know what it is. Or their special T-shirts or whatever.
If it's something like, hey, I got some kind of tech knowledge or whatever, and like, it's a pain in the ass to try to do it through a text message or like over the email, but yeah, let's do it here, and $50 or something. We can accomplish it or something like a lot easier. But
I'm going down the rabbit hole, like the Bitcoin. There's shows that are like all about Bitcoin and shit, and I'll see there'll be like a panel, like 5 experts or something, and they'll be like, if you want to join, it's $20. So you do like a super chat or whatever the fuck they call it. Like that YouTube money. That we're on YouTube right now, right? Live?
Well, this thing's going to YouTube. And somebody, if they want to super chat, they can super chat, and it's real money or whatever.
Right. So if they super chatted you on the YouTube side, then you would send them the link to the StreamYard, and then they would come in, and then they would just ask their fucking question. It was like $5 or whatever the fuck it is.
And then they had to leave?
Yeah. Well, I guess. Or I don't know how many people can be in here at once.
Well, that's the thing. This thing allows 6 people. So 5 people plus me. So 6 total. Okay. And then
some people would have to leave. Like, you're done. You got your $5 worth of questions. You can get out.
Like that one guy that you used to watch that was doing like the watches or whatever. Like that guy could use that kind of system and bring people in and chat with them and make it like another level of interaction.
It's funny. Yeah. He definitely does it still. Like, for sure.
That would work perfect, because those people are having them judge watches that cost a lot. So $50 to them is nothing. And then
they don't even talk. They'll talk about he'll charge them to come in just to talk to him about some random shit.
Well, that's what I mean. So that's
just totally bull.
I don't give a shit about $50. That's like a normal person throwing around a $5 bill, and they're just throwing around.
It's like baller status. That would be like.
That's why I'm trying to cater to the sugar mamas. I'm really trying to pivot this show so that I attract a lot of older rich ladies who are bored, just like to throw their
Bob.
People dance.
I heard Bob got shot in a Canadian mass. They don't have mass shootings in Canada. I heard they had mass disagreements.
In Canada?
They have mass arguments.
It wasn't a mass riot. It was a mass misunderstanding. Like a bunch of people got there and they were confused. I'll apologize.
He got sampled to death.
It was unruly because they didn't know who to apologize to first, and they would just have a madhouse of apologies for a while.
That is so fucked up. I heard like people were like backing up, going like, no, it's a misunderstanding, and he was one of them, but he fell.
Right,
and that's what happened.
Being like the elderly guy, it's like the opposite of the United States. That one guy got run over. Everybody tried to catch him, and they all hurt themselves trying to catch him.
Super fucked up, man. Whatever happened to Bob?
Bub's just getting pummeled by the ex constantly,
Oh,
and
Jesus.
finally got wrung out like a sponge until there was nothing less to wring out, and now he's slowly like hiding in a corner and coming out of it.
Oh shit! I ain't got no excuse. I got 4-year-old twins, right? So like, I have that. Like, oh, she's wringing me out, whatever. When your kids are in college, it's like basically you have to man up and tell her, "Hey, I don't know your shit." You know what I mean? That's it. We're done. Like the kids are grown up. I'm waiting to kindergarten to tell the mom that.
When you enroll in online cosplay costume creation, right? That's a never-ending major. Like you can keep getting multiple PhDs and that shit. Like every time a new version of like a Gen Man comes out, that's like a whole
Dude, it is so fucking crazy, man. It is so crazy. I was just telling, I still talk to Dr. No, and I talk to
Dr. No by putting stuff on Instagram, and then like occasionally Dr. No will come in once a month and like everything in an hour.
Nice, yeah. He took some time off from just on his yacht. He got a helicopter, picked him up from the island, and he just was like, I have 10 minutes to like everybody I used to know on Gun Channel.
Exactly. He comes down from the palace or whatever.
It's like it's so funny. The only contact I have from anybody is I'm in a group chat with Girk and Autoloader, Moon, and we're in this group chat with
like in your phones on text message.
No, it's just in Instagram, but it's been there forever. So we just like send. It's just like a meme. Like, here's today's meme, and we're all like, here's another one. It happens like maybe once every couple days. And Girk, and sometimes I'll be like, hey, I'm thinking of selling something, and then Girk will be like, hey, I'll give you half of what that's worth, and I'll go, thanks, Girk, but I'm not on crack. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that serious. You know what I mean? Like the other day I was like, I'm thinking of selling like my RMR or something. And he's like, I'll give you 300. And I'm like, no, I'm not on like drugs. Anyway, that's about it. I wonder whatever happened to Panda guy and Frog guy. And who else do I think about? So I'm like, whatever happened to those fuckers?
They're probably on Discord or something.
Mr. Knives, like Knives, and
Knives will come around. He was just in somebody's chat earlier. Who was in the chat earlier today? Wednesday. He was in Rick's chat earlier today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So they're alive. They're doing okay. Surviving.
Knives will jump in every once in a while, and then I seen Knives joined Instagram, but Knives, he was always like an what do you call it, intermittent user of Instagram. He didn't use it like daily or nothing.
Yeah, plus like he just kind of kept his computer on. He's like, hey guys, I'm gonna turn it on. And then he would be like
more, but he was doing that for the lobby or
for
whatever.
Gun Channel.
Otherwise, I don't think he leaves his computer on otherwise.
Other than that, I just found out like Hashnazi turned into a superstar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't even. I got a ham radio because I thought the world was gonna end. It's probably gonna end. And then it's crazy how Hashnazi is ham radio. Like it's weird.
But really. I get it. Turns out if you go dig around, there's he's big or whatever, but he's not the biggest. But he definitely pulled up a chair to the table of opportunities. There's a bunch of stuff.
Oh my god. Dude, it's insane. I mean, I don't know if he's a
nerd.
I know
right? Tech, so tech lends itself to these are people that are comfortable with getting online and communicating, and what he's doing, the podcast / whatever chat like this lends itself.
It's awesome.
Keeping up with stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, I bought a couple of them, and I'm like, and then I Google it and go on YouTube, and shit, he is on the top. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. And
Well,
then
if you know him.
I always like Hosh. I never disliked him. I always thought he was awesome. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's kind of like listening to an old friend. Like, how the fuck do I program this Chinese piece of shit?
Kind
All
of,
right,
but
cool, Hosh.
he's super high. He goes like from zero to technical, like without a element or
Oh,
exponent. He does not slow down. He's not like a good. I don't personally think he's a good like. You never heard a ham radio before? Here's where you start because he kind of goes straight to the back.
okay. He definitely got me to program my fucking Baofeng. I'll tell you that. Like I was like, oh, I was just for like 2 weeks. I'm like, the world's gonna end and it doesn't matter. And I finally watched one of his videos. That's like what got me to do it. I don't know if it's because we used to talk a lot, but whatever.
So anyway, I'm going to turn Gunchild into a graphic novel eventually. So we'll
I'm sure. Well, what the fuck's going? The Daily Gun Show. I mean, are guns still like a thing? I don't think we need them anymore.
No, not really.
Now that we have COVID.
Really to remember the old days so we don't have to repeat history and have to deal with guns ever again.
Yeah, I mean, now you just kind of like cough on people for self-defense. They'll get the fuck out of there. No one wants to rob you if you have a dry cough.
Well, and if you stay 6 feet away from everybody, which is appropriate, it's really difficult.
Oh, for sure. Unless you're rioting. Unless you're straight rioting, that's fine. Crazy times. Absolutely crazy times.
That was a bit of reminiscent or whatever. I see Ghost is out there, Barbecue is out there, and in here, Studley is out there, and I guess DTP is probably still out there. I'm not sure, but if anybody's got anything else, chat wise or gun wise, that they wanted to bring up, I will transition into going over to the calendar then. And today was nothing on the 10th, right? And then tomorrow's going to be the 11th, which will get us to that guy in England or someplace that created the percussion cap, which is, I don't know, necessary for the evolution of guns or whatever. But it ain't ours. Somebody in England or somebody in Europe made that. But then we get the New Hampshire hunting with a suppressor was decriminalized in 16. So I don't know. It's interesting. New Hampshire, you don't think about them. I don't think about New Hampshire fucking at all. I don't even know if I know anybody who lives in New Hampshire. I ever did know anybody in New Hampshire.
They're pretty free.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of up there next to Vermont. But I think the reason we don't hear about them is there's just not that many people living there, right? Is it one of those places people go vacation up there from New York or something, like a winter home or something? Or a summer home, I guess?
I don't know, maybe look at the fall foliage.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, but whatever. So they had, I guess, hunting with suppressors. They ended that in 16, so it's been 4 years now. Anyway, I put all those in there whenever I was working on the almanac, and we're about to hit a shit ton of them. Most everything that ever happened happens on July 1st, but some of them are spread out like that. I imagine it has something to do with when state legislatures do their thing, but we're about to have like 1 million of them hit on the 1st of July. I don't know anything else about New Hampshire, but I miss it. There we go. That's about all we got this week. Oh, Gun Toting Pacifist is in New Hampshire. Rick moved from Rhode Island, the tiny one, Rhode Island. And then he might be in New Hampshire. Oh, there's Bob. Speaking of Bob, so what did I end up using for the thumbnail of this video? How am I going to figure that out? If I go look at the show over here, maybe. Oh yeah, I use those chicks. So let me go screen share. like that. That worked.
Bob made a nasty comment.
How come you guys are letting the lunatics run loose in your country?
SJW.
I think he's probably talking about what's going on in what is it, Portland or one of those other northwest
I think it's
towns.
Seattle. So Seattle
Is it
has
Seattle?
a zone.
I couldn't remember.
They've taken over an entire part of the city.
Yeah, they're saying it's in an autonomous zone and they're no longer under U.S. control, which I think is absolutely insane that they're allowing it to happen.
Awesome.
It's awesome, but at the same time, if this was right-wing people, they'd be labeled as terrorists.
Oh, for sure.
I like the idea that it could happen, but the double standard I don't like, and yeah.
Where are you at? What state are you in?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think Pennsylvania would be like the northeast capital of fucking freedom.
Yeah, say we're kind of locked by a whole bunch of shit, but because we got New York, New Jersey, Maryland right around us. Then we got the states to our west with West Virginia and Ohio, which aren't bad, but anything north or east or south, we're screwed.
We need a general. But we could do Pennsylvania, like parts of Pennsylvania down through West Virginia and Ohio, like a strip. And then once we get to Kentucky and parts of Virginia, maybe. And that could be like, where we're going to fly the planes. Refueling zones, man. Let me tell you, man, it's crazy. But in order to have a civil war, we can't just have parts of the city and parts of the state. There has to actually be battle lines drawn. You know what I mean? Like this part of the country versus the other part of the country. It can't just be like this part of LA versus this part of California. You know what I mean? Like California versus California. Like that shit they're done. Like that they're gonna be one area that will have to be separated out. But anyway, autonomous zone in Seattle, like some little part of the city, it's fun. I think it's kind of cool. And we'll see what happens, but
yeah, I don't know all the details behind it, but
the gist of it. So is it, you say it's 6 blocks or whatever? Is that
it's a part of town, man?
Is it parks or is it like bookstores and a garage?
No. I think it's City Hall. It's a whole bunch of urban area.
I thought I heard it was like right downtown.
Yeah, it is.
So a lot of businesses and.
I thought it was City Hall too.
Yeah, if they're downtown, probably.
So what's the idea that the city?
A bunch of leftists took it over, and we're like,
I guess the idea is that the city is saying, let's let them run this out, or let's let them get tired, or let's let them speak their mind.
I don't know what the city. Yeah, the city's probably thinking we don't know what to do, but they're thinking this is ours now. Like, don't come in here. No police.
Yeah. From what I heard, they've got patrols going around making sure only persons come in that they want in there. I guess the mayor said they don't know, how long this is going to last.
Well, yeah, they don't know what to do. They'll come up with a game plan. You know what I would do? Is I would say, we have gummy bears over here. So you come out and we have gummy bears. And then if they want gummy bears, they'll leave. That's what I do with my kids. That's pretty much the trick. You got to bribe them to come out. So if you were like, hey guys, I see you got your autonomous zone, but we have Taco Bell over here and you got to come out to get it. And once they come out to get the Taco Bell, then you fucking go in there and clean up. That would be D.B. Cooper's plan.
So when does the federal government intervene, though? Because technically, you could say that this is enemy body seizing control of U.S. land.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it, what their objective is, and how they're presenting it. So, you know what I mean, like if you to put an extreme example, if a kid was in his fort, in his tree fort, and said, "This is my sovereign, blah blah blah, I'm my own country," you don't expect the military to challenge that. He's just a little kid. So, I would say to answer the question, it's probably up to the whatever level of law enforcement is responsible. So is that the city, I guess? And then if the city isn't acting right, then the state. And then if the state isn't acting right, the federal. But I think it's overreach for the federal to just jump in unless the federal had some sort of knowledge or insight that this is just one piece of a bigger multi-state or international effort.
Yeah, because I'm kind of torn on it because, like I said, on one hand, I'm like, it's cool that people are able to rise up and fight the man, and then on the other hand, like I said, if this was a militia group or something that said, hey, we lean right, then it would be right-wing extremist terrorist group seizes control of city, and we're not hearing anything about it on the news, very little. And so I don't know enough to have a call on it one way or the other. I'm kind of torn, but I'm just kind of interested in where it's going to go next.
Well, I don't have any details at all, except for what you guys said. DB said stuff and ran out of here. Like a coward. I'm not saying he's a coward. I'm just saying he ran out of here as soon as he said that stuff. But I don't know shit about it, but I'll mansplain it anyway. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. So I guess my only thing would be you to overreact or to react with the ultimate appropriate, whatever the levels, there's always a range of appropriate response to something. And if you go to the high end of that appropriate response, unless it's necessary, I don't think it's necessary, right? Mainly because one, it costs more to do the ultimate response, and two, it sets precedents, and three, if the goal of the goal of the instigator is to make you look aggressive or to exaggerate whatever you do, if you come in with the largest possible appropriate response, then that just gives them literally more ammunition. So thinking about it strategically and tactically, if their goal isn't really to take over the city or the state, they would have done it differently if that was their real goal. Their real goal is to make a public stink in a way that makes the bully, they're setting up an ambush. They want the police to be in a position where they get to look like they're being persecuted more, right? They're creating a situation. So anything that plays into that, unless it's necessary, you can create a situation by holding something super dangerous, and then there has to be a response with like a bomb crew, right? You can do that. But if it's literally just a bunch of instigators whose job is to make the police look bad, then I don't want to play into their game, right? And I don't know the situation without mansplaining it to that level. Here's DB. Now it's saying your device isn't connected, DB, so I don't know if you can hear me or not when you're in there like that. More than likely, it doesn't like your mic or something.
He might want to try a different browser, because remember, I was having that issue about a month ago. And
yeah, and you're seeing it. Do you see him off air? No. I can do this, though, and then you can see him. So this is what's happening for DB right now. I see him, but I can't do nothing. I can't click on him. All I can do is eject him, probably. But I can't let him in because it won't see his microphone or whatever. But that's what it looks like behind the scenes. That's what it looks like underneath of Alpado. They won't allow the media in. That's why we aren't hearing much. And that seems weird, because where's the Snowden of Antifa, right? Where's the inside look at Antifa? You'd think one of them would be broadcasting live just because he's not happy with the way somebody stole his girl or something, right? Or the way that she's not looking at her the right way. I don't know how many people it's taken to hold 7 blocks. It's a lot of space, it's a lot of room. I saw the thing about this, and that's why I just assumed it was like a park. The way that the little meme went, the homeless people took their food. I figured it was like a park or something, and they just had put up a fence around a park and said, "We live here now." And then some homeless people came over. So if it's 7 blocks, you don't hold 7 blocks with a few people. That would take hundreds and hundreds of people, I would think, with coordinated effort, walkie-talkies and shit. The kind of stuff that jamming walkie-talkies would be, dealing with crowd control 101, right? You can deal with walkie-talkies, but you're not a loudspeaker really loud. We got Noriega out of Panama by playing loudspeakers at him. You're telling me Seattle doesn't have loudspeakers? Are we talking Seattle or Portland?
Seattle.
It might be Seattle.
They're all the same to me. So Seattle, you're telling me they don't have loudspeakers in Seattle to like blare at these people, like to run them out of there? Play music they don't like. Play corny.
I don't think they know what to do. And they don't want probably anyone getting hurt.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The playing music, play music they don't like play music that would be boring to them, and then they'll all leave, right? Because it's not hip enough.
They're probably waiting for them to be like, they have to go to the bathroom sometime. Like they go home.
Play Fleetwood Mac. Play like Fleetwood Mac and Elvis, but not in an ironic way. And then they'll leave because that's not cool.
Holy shit! I just thought of something. If you played Fleetwood Mac and Elvis at the same time,
well, there you go. That would cause some kind of weird.
You'd die.
Blip, like a wave flip or whatever that's called.
I'd honestly be pretty excited about that.
No, you would die. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the waveforms would match up in such a way to create a waveform vacuum that every time they would line up, it would suck a little bit of audio away from everybody. It would hurt your ear.
Would that be the secret to the brown note?
It is. I was just gonna say, we know they have the shockwave that makes you shit your pants.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Why isn't that being employed all over the place, everywhere? And how? And tell me, let's talk about new tech, like the next level of what do you call security system will be speakers or some sort of ultrasonic pulse that makes everybody shit themselves, right? Oh, you're going to break a window? As soon as we see something hurtling towards a window, everybody outside shits themselves. Mm-hmm. Or vomits uncontrollably until you run away, right?
I worked on some of that technology.
What?
I worked on some of that technology.
That's what I'm saying. That stuff existed since the day. They used to have stuff on boats that they could push over onto other boats and make people jump off of them. I don't know why they don't run that stuff in.
Well, there's a system that I worked on that what it did was it sent out these very, very high ultrasonic sounds, and it caused like a vibration in the human body, but the vibration was to the point where it was actually simulating a burning sensation.
Oh, like the more of the skin sunburn type of thing where you're
yeah,
because it kind of hurts.
Yeah, so it's so we were looking into it for embassy protection.
There's that.
Turn that shit on, bam. Getting close. I felt it hurts.
There's visual stuff you can do that makes it uncomfortable. There's audio, just loud noise, you can repel people with noises. And then there's stuff that, we were saying, makes you shit or uncomfortable, makes you puke. There's all kinds of crazy crap that exists that been around for a while already.
But it's just the science of sound,
right?
There's nothing there's nothing that is ultra secret how to do it or anything, because
it was probably something you did a giant speaker or too much power. But as we get into the age of 3D printing and tech and figuring out, they're coming out with integral crazy ways to make suppressors. Make some integral crazy way to make a speaker, I don't know, something that looks like a light bulb, but again, if somebody's screwing around with your place of business or outside your, screwing with your trying to pick up your Amazon package, they just shit themselves. And you don't have to shoot nobody. Nobody's going to want to go try to steal something unless they're wearing a diaper or something. You know what I mean?
Like that astronaut lady?
I don't know. What's the restaurant lady?
The one who there was a story about an astronaut lady who wanted to knock off somebody's wife. She drove her across the country with a diaper on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah,
that's how I got to the 2A rally, except different. I didn't wear that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I just drove fast. All right. So now we went all over the place. So now we got Crump in here, and DB came in. I was calling you a coward before you didn't hear that. But let's see. So then they're talking about the UN out there. Oh, so I was saying, how can they even be taken over 7 blocks? I mean, if it was like a park, like I was thinking just a big park, like, okay, nobody's going to bother them. They took over the park. Who cares? But if it's like your business, then you're going to be like, no. And if like you have a restaurant, you're going to be like, no. So
don't forget, this COVID situation had half, probably more than half, the businesses shut out anyway. Like, so.
So like even if you own the restaurant, you're not there. So they just took your restaurant and they won't let you back in, kind of shit.
Well, it seems like from the photos, if you Google it, like it looks like they're just kind of hanging out outside on steps and on alleyways and on the curb. They're not like in businesses. They're not
like they are demanding money.
They're not at the Orvis or whatever. They're in the Patagonia store.
Yeah, they are demanding money from the businesses they are allowing to open.
Oh, sweet.
Oh,
so basically they're shaking people down.
So here's where the counterfeiters come in. Like if the government could like hire the counterfeiters, but and say, hey, print up some fake ass money quickly and we'll just give it to these losers.
Yeah. Steady's out there talking about Andy No. He has really, really great updates on Twitter about everything going on in there.
Dude, here's what you do. You take helicopters. I think people in the service call them little birds. And you just fucking fly these little helicopters in and you just toss out fucking tear gas canisters. And I think not Burger King, but McDonald's. So just tear gas and McDonald's. Should get rid of them. That's my idea.
You pay me $2,000. I'll grab some of my boys and we will have it cleared by lunchtime tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. You could take some Boy Scouts with like you give them those flamethrowers that Elon Musk makes. Those like
not a flamethrowers.
Yeah, and just send in the Boy Scouts, man. It'll be okay.
I bet we can get a sponsor for it.
Dude, we are so fucked.
The cell phone seems like a good idea. That would seem like a no-brainer. Just turn off all the cell towers for a while.
They're all millennials. That would drive them crazy. They wouldn't be able to live without updating their Instagram.
They wouldn't be able to tell people that they're protesting, so then they wouldn't be protesting anymore, right?
I must say these guys look radical.
If they're like you say, if they're shaking down people, I don't want to conflate them with protesters. That's bullshit. Protesting is protected by the second or the first. So fuck them. They're not protesters. They are. Sounds like just.
Well, these actually, what's funny is these guys might be It depends on the destruction of private property and like the fucking bullshit they're doing. But if they're just like, hey, this is our spot.
In their own place of business, that's where it draws a line.
Yeah, I don't think from the photos I saw, they kind of looked like they were outside. That's why I know
they're outside. But if you want to open your business,
like, you can't go open your restaurant. That's equivalent to mob.
Yeah, I mean they are outside, but if you want to open your business, you basically have to pay them.
But who would even want to open a business if there's a bunch of these thugs hanging around out there?
I don't know, but I saw somebody post on, I think it was Instagram, Twitter. I guess Seattle has a warlord now.
That's what I was going to say. Like, what's the deal? Like,
it's like a vegan warlord.
This is kind of fucking awesome, man.
When we start dividing up the country, I'm taking Arizona and New Mexico. Just saying. And I'm going to take Utah and Colorado as I can take before somebody up there confronts me.
Who's taking? Are you going to let like Scottsdale be its own thing or what?
No, I'm going to be pretty ruthless. First, I'm taking all the women. What's that thing? You take all the women. I'm taking all their women.
Nice. All right. Well, I better get to Scottsdale, man, because I want to create like an enclave or some sort of like township. You can't have all the fucking state, man. You gotta have like back in the day, what did they call that? Like
when you're warlording, you don't like nibble.
No, you gotta have like a second.
My experience when you're warlording, you take regions. As a warlord,
samurai.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You want to take, an area. You don't want to just have like one little castle or a region.
You can't control all of it.
Well, you have.
Can I have Tombstone and I'll just pay you like a monthly royalty out of it?
Exactly. You have these little, whatever you call them, what would you be calling them? Whatever's under the
Honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time is Road Warrior,
Mm-hmm.
And Fury Road was pretty awesome, a few years ago.
Right.
So like when I hear this kind of shit, it's kind of like I don't care what side of the fence they're on. It sounds pretty cool. Like, wow, you guys really did that? You took over. All right, cool.
Well, I'm thinking of the part of mine.
Huh?
When I heard about it, I was thinking, picturing the part because it's like the whole like we're upset, and this is like a protest or whatever. But the part about taking over people's businesses and stuff seems a little more sketchy than just a protest or just a frustration. That's some sort of whatever.
I think the people's. It looks like the people's business is more of like a casualty of war. Like they took over a whole part of the city, and hey, too bad. Your fucking chicken wing restaurant is here, but we this is ours now. So it's kind of like Mad Max, and you can't like, hey,
I don't get that. It doesn't.
They need to get.
He's letting them down, right? If it was a park or something, great, or whatever, like a baseball field, who cares? But if it's a business, then what the hell?
Yeah, but if you did it, it would be fine. That's my point. You know what I mean? Like, if you took over, it would be okay. You're gonna let the people come back and start making their food.
Oh, you mean if like well, I don't know if it would have vigilante. I guess more like a militia, a group of vigilante types came back and said, "Get out of here," and then feel free to go back to your work. We'll leave them. We'll stay on out here and make sure whoever don't come back.
And I think it's contacts out there. I got the militia's contacts out there. I could do that. All I need is the money.
Well, why aren't they?
I think the whole thing is the autonomous zone is like they don't want police. Like they don't want any cops, right? No military.
Well, the police won't let a lot of people go in there. Like if you try to go in there, because I know some 3%ers that were going to take a stroll through the autonomous zone, and the police basically stopped them. It's like, hey, no.
So in other words, there's the 7 blocks. They've got a bunch of Antifas running around the 7 blocks, and then there's a perimeter, and then there's a bunch of cops making sure nobody goes and screws with the Antifas.
Basically.
Yeah, so that's weird. So they're like creating this little artificial environment for the Antifas to even exist. That's messed up.
Well, it's Seattle. Max. If you know about the mayor of Seattle, he's actually an Antifa supporter.
Oh. Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, that's Mad Max, but it's like Mad Max where they've gone to a big lake and they took a bunch of sandbags and like cleared out, a dry area in the middle of a lake and played Mad Max in that dry area. It's like super temporary and it's only there artificially. But
yeah, it would be like if Mel Gibson in Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome went beyond the Thunderdome and saw a bunch of rich white people, and he was like, "What are you guys doing out there?" And they're like, "Well, this is just like." We're just hanging out.
Go back to the wasteland. Get out of here.
Yeah, like we're chilling over here. Like go back to the shit fucking
Yeah.
farm or whatever
Stay
it was.
in the sand. Get out of here.
Yeah, like we're fine. We're just making sure that you're in the shit show of the Thunderdome.
Oh well, it's more of a coup. It's not the mayor. Sorry, it's. I think it's more of a coup because the group is led by one of the city council members.
Oh Jesus, dude! Listen, I'm
No,
not trying to. I
that
can't say nothing on this show. G-Webs, I respect you, so I can't say what I would do. But if I was the leader of this fucking world and universe, that whole fucking state, I'd give you 24 hours to get the fuck out of there, or we're gonna firebomb you, like Dresden, like we did fucking Nazis. You gotta get out.
I think what we need to do is just put cameras all around Seattle, like that show Big Brother. They just filmed everybody in the house, and then hope that there's like a Wolverines group that decides to take on these guys, and we can just watch a real life Red Dawn stream across the internet or something.
No, what I think we should do is build a wall around the zone and make it into like instead of Escape from New York or Escape from LA, make it Escape from Seattle.
Can you imagine?
Since the way you said that, with it being a person who's in their government, like a representative who's instigating some of this or being part of it,
The leader.
Did they pick that 7 blocks because people in the business owners or people that live there are like part of it and they want to be in it, and these people are protecting them? Or is it like they're perceived as protecting them, or did they literally take something that wasn't theirs as a show of like, we're taking this because you owe it to us?
Yeah, it's like we're taking it.
Okay,
because this is ours.
It's by no means like, hey, this is our 7 blocks and we're seceding, leave us alone, and this is our army to defend us.
Yeah, well, it's around the city hall, even like in the middle.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they're basically saying we're taking your city hall over, and you can't.
Yeah, but it's led by a city council member.
Well, that's
so it's like a coup,
like an idiot or whatever. So, but it's not a legal coup. A coup is like, I'm going to get a bunch of people to vote for me, or get a bunch of people to override this, right? Like, not I'm going to fucking.
Oh no, coup.
No, I think the coup is like when the military just says, "Let's." Yeah, a coup is force.
It's taking over a government by force.
Okay. You're talking like you're actually talking literal definition. So are they with guns there?
Apparently I know there's at least one guy with an AK-47.
But most of the time they're just walking around with clubs and being mean to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they should just come in and knock them all fucking over and take that guy with a gun and take his gun away or whatever, I guess.
His AK is a Century Arms. It's made in the United States.
But still, if they're not armed or whatever, then this is giving them more attention than it's worth, right? Like, that just seems like they're looking for attention. Like, hey, the rest of the country's getting attention. Look what we're doing.
Did you see the demands? No,
I'm only learning about this right now.
One of the demands is they want free houses.
Well, I want a free house, so yeah.
They want free housing for everyone, not just them, but everyone in the country.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's the best way to get it. Because if you want to affect change like that, you just take over one city's city hall. That'll do it.
That's what I'm saying. What you get is you won't even get McDonald's talking like that to me. I'm going to send in the fucking Burger King, and we're going to airdrop Burger King down with tear gas, and then we're going to maybe bribe you out with Taco Bell. That's my plan.
No, I would just, if this is ridiculous, this is just some kind of weird farce to create publicity, I would just go in there and end it. But I guess you can't just do Trump or whatever. I guess the governor of the state would just do that, right? That'd be their job.
Yeah,
you can send in. Remember RoboCop? Like, not RoboCop, but the big bot. Yeah, what was the big Robo?
Ed 209.
Yeah, you send like 3 of them in.
Yep.
And then in one hand they have gummy bears, and in the other hand they have the machine gun. And you just go, what's the deal? Are we leaving or what? Is this over or not?
They don't have guns, so just send in a bunch of Ed 209s, and all they need is 2 hands, and they'll just push the people out of there. Like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, and just keep pushing them.
And they want all undocumented people, all illegal aliens, to be citizens, meet citizens
before election day. That's the critical part.
Well, they want also the prisoners in prison to be able to vote.
Well, I guess if they're done being a prisoner, that's cool. But in prison, yeah, that'd be a tough one.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny because it looked like a few weeks ago, like maybe April, that the world was going to be kind of like over with the COVID stuff. So wouldn't we all be undocumented when we're like walking around like fucking grapes of wrath, like just like in Road Warrior? Wasn't everyone undocumented in Road Warrior?
Yeah. Well, unless
yeah,
you
right.
with like some or something.
I'm not gonna have my fucking Social Security card 4 weeks into the Armageddon. You know what I mean? Like, let's say 3 months into like post-apocalyptic United States, we're all undocumented at that point, right? That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, you guys did see about HBO, how HBO pulled Gone from the Wind from their library because it was offensive.
Yeah, they said there was a racist scene in it.
Who did?
Yeah.
That's not even that bad.
HBO.
Cops was canceled. I heard Cops, like after 40 years, Cops was over with.
Yeah.
And then Lego also pulled all the police Legos off the shelf.
Well, they're also
unbelievable.
They're also trying to decide whether to remove Chase from the Paw Patrol. Chase is a dog that's a cop.
Yeah, but he did kill the black dog.
Yeah. Now they said it's propaganda for the police to portray a puppy that's a cop in a positive light.
I agree. I do agree with that. Like, I mean, we got to get rid of Chase, the Paw Patrol cop. He's like a brown dog too, by the way.
Yeah, German Shepherd.
Yeah, he's a German Shepherd. But yeah, we got to get rid of him. Because you know why? He sells coke on the weekends at the club.
It doesn't make any sense.
He works with a guy he choked out on the street. He was a bouncer at the club. They worked together. His name was Zuma.
Zuma. You have kids.
Oh, I know fucking Zuma and Chase and Rubble and fucking Marshall. But listen, it doesn't matter. If I told my kids, look,
stuff happened and they made all the squirt guns have orange tips, and then everybody was satisfied for a minute, and then something happened and they made all the squirt guns orange and purple and shit instead of black anymore, right? And then everybody was satisfied for a minute, and then something happened, and then all the squirt guns had to start looking like just stupid shit, like not even a gun anymore, like a weird laser looking thing and like a 50s ray gun. And then something happened, and you literally see squirt guns that look like a carrot, that don't even look like a gun anymore. That are just like squirt celery or whatever, like just shapes of things that squirt water out of them. So we can be offended anytime, but it's just the world changes and shit. I'm not saying we gotta take everything, but we don't have to resist everything either, right? So I'm just saying, like, some of this stuff, I'm not too worried if the cops change into something that's cooler than whatever we got today. I mean, I hear you. We can cherry pick, just like a gun prohibitionist, we can cherry pick crazy, absurd extremes and then go, what the fuck, right? But realistically, most cops have a fucking horrible job for somehow they gather the fortitude to fucking do it because something changed their fucking life and they think that it's worth devoting their entire fucking being into helping other people. And then a couple of bad ones do bad shit. But all I'm just saying is, I'm saying, like, I don't want to throw anything under the bus or whatever like that. Just doing that.
The Seattle people do want all police pensions of current pensioners to be canceled.
Some people, not everybody in Seattle, but yeah, I hear you.
No, the people who have taken over, that's one of their demands.
Right. And I'm not saying that I'm going to do anything when you fucking demand. Not you, you know what I'm saying? When it's demanded, fuck them. They don't get to demand shit. They can get upset and they can do anything they want in protest. But once they start bullying people, that's why rubber bullets are made, so that we can get rid of you so people can go back to work or whatever. But I don't, like I say, I'm not going to suggest that we got to have tradition or we have to keep old bullshit because we have it as a tradition or whatever. If the situation is such that people are saying, "Hey, what the fuck?" I'm all down for re-examining. We just got done chatting about this for hours in Matt's chat. I'm going to just take it to the short conclusion that I think is get rid of the situation that causes the symptoms that we're seeing. The horrible results that we're seeing are all war on drugs. This whole thing is war on drugs. The prison system, all this other shit, war on drugs. That's the real problem. And if we allow the whole thing to be framed that, look at these causes, look at these effects, and it's horrible, and here's the reasons. Bullshit. The reasons is big time policy that's been going on for way too fucking long, that's creating way too many other things. And I don't want to make it sound that simple either, but there's other things involved there too, and that's like the no-knock raids and shit like that that just make it fucking horrible. And if you look at just the hand-picked ass shit and go, oh, here's a horrible, weird, extreme example, therefore the other side isn't valid, fuck them. That's what they try to do when they talk about guns. You don't get to fucking handpick your fucking data, pick a weird, crazy example, extrapolate that onto all people that you hate, stay ignorant, and fucking, you know, propagate lies. So we don't want to, I'm not going to fucking do that on my show. I don't want to get accused of that shit.
I want to tell you this because I learned something from you a long time ago. And I never thought of it like this before you talked about it like this. But there is some sort of communist leftist thing that's coming at us at all angles. And to say like we need to get rid of the police, where every single fucking country in the I was gonna say every state, whatever, fuck that. Every country in the world has a form of police. Like there's nowhere you can go where there's no police.
No.
So this is some sort of leftist communist trash that's like it's insane. Like, oh, like let's get rid of the police. It's like, sure.
And I'm not going to allow no police, but I'm down for listening to reform. Like if there's problems, then fuck yeah, let's change these problems.
We can do it.
And I think a lot of problems are war on drugs. You're tasking them with just an insane amount of unrealistic shit. And it's obviously played out for decades. And the whole social worker shit, like if you just let cops be cops and don't expect them to be perfect all the fucking time, and the social workers and therapists and all the other shit that I can't even think of, and traffic cops, you know, they got like a lot of fucking tasks they got to do in one shift. I don't know if you ever done a ride along, but you know, do a ride along sometime. They got a lot of shit to do. Take a half of that shit off or a third of that shit off and let them be cops again. And I'll bet you it's a whole different thing when you got a cop who knows everybody's name in the neighborhood and, you know, he's there to just prevent and deal and not be weird and mean and all that shit.
The amount of guns pulled on marijuana bullshit where it's like, oh, I smell marijuana. Okay, it's on now. So if we got rid of that alone, that would probably solve like,
and that's the kind of mod I'm talking about.
30% of the fucking issue, right? Like 30 to 40% of the issue is like, we pulled you over in your fucking Hyundai. We smell some marijuana. Now get the fuck out of the car and all this bullshit. You know, and it's like, all right, I get it, man. It's like drinking and driving. But I'm old enough to know like drinking and driving was a horrible thing, but it didn't become a super duper crazy thing until like the fucking 80s. Right? Like that's when it was like Mothers Against Drunk Driving and MAD and all this crazy stuff. And yeah, we don't drive drunk, but like, I'm not even talking about like smoking weed while you're driving. If they pull you over and they smell weed that's not being smoked, it's a fucking SWAT team and all this crazy shit, you know, in certain states, not every state, but like most states. And a lot of that shit is, it's a problem. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that creates like an
us and them.
A pattern. It's a pattern, yeah. Because if your whole culture, not saying like this might even be racist or whatever, but like there's cultures out there that marijuana is not bad. So like when you become like a certain age, like 17, 18, 19, you're smoking weed. There's just no fucking doubt about it.
I never did.
And well, I did. But
I know.
like, let's say like, and I stopped. I mean, but it doesn't matter. But like, there's certain parts of like, you know, the country and certain age groups and certain races where it's like, man, it's so common that it's no different than drinking a light beer, a Miller Lite.
I think
after a high school football game or something.
I think the fact that it's legal recreationally in 11 or 14 states shows that it isn't anything. There's no subcultures that it's refined or restricted to. It would, you know, it's like alcohol. It's if you feel like doing it, then every part of culture does it. Like the whole entire states.
Elon Musk just put out a tweet like 2 days ago that was like, I find it funny that so many people are in prison right now over something that was deemed essential. They were deemed essential workers, marijuana dealers in a lot of states. And it's true, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say we're essential to the World War II effort or whatever, because there was like a to like grow it in World War II for boats and whatever the hell.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, look, those guys weren't smoking that shit. Like they say, like the first American flag was hemp, and
I didn't think about that.
But no, Elon Musk was like, dude, it's so funny that
you have to go to work in all this crisis. You got to go to work because you're essential, and then literally, like their brother, sister, cousin, or something could be in jail for doing the same thing that they have to go to work for, like 2 years ago, right? Like or a year ago.
And hey, look, we've had the last. Okay, George Bush Jr. admitted to doing cocaine. I don't know if he admitted to smoking weed, but he definitely admitted to snorting cocaine. George Bush Jr. We had Obama who admitted to smoking weed and doing cocaine, and then we've got Donald Trump who, you know, definitely takes speed. But it doesn't matter. But we've had so many presidents that's like, yeah, we smoke weed, and then even this time we had presidents running. I mean, presidential candidates running, saying it, publicly admitting they smoked weed. That's so hypocritical that you can be like, I'm running for president of the United States, and I smoked weed, of course. And then you're not going to be for like, hey, did you know there's some people in prison right now? Like, because they sold some weed? And you're saying you smoked it and you were okay with it and shit? It's just so weird. But anyway, I would say if you did away with just that stuff, that's part of it. But it would reduce the amount of police contact on a daily that it's confrontational, where it's like, all right, well, weed's legal. The problem is when you're driving, I guess. Like if they pulled you over and they smelled it, like that you were smoking it, then there would be an issue. But a lot of times I think there's an issue because they pull you over and you're not smoking it, but they might smell it in the car, and it becomes like a whole cat and mouse game, you know, and it's a lot of people's first introduction to being arrested is marijuana. So
well, part of it is we need to take the revenue side out of it. Law enforcement should not be for profit. We shouldn't have for profit prisons. We shouldn't be trying to squeeze every dollar out of people that we can because they're, you know, wanting traffic tickets and everything else. Like in my hometown, all the cop cars are completely black now, and all the decals on them are this reflective black color, so you can tell the difference where it says police down the side of the car. But at night, if you don't hit that with a light, you're never going to see it. The state police in Pennsylvania, they had white cruisers for years, and now they switched to darker gray color. And to me, law enforcement, they should stand out. That way, when you need them, you can find them. They shouldn't be camouflaging themselves to try and, you know, catch some Joe Blow that went 5 more miles an hour down the road than they should have.
I think that it might also be, have you ever, well, I drive a cop car when I was driving the cop car around, and you drive a cop car, everybody slows down usually. So some of that might just be so that they
Yep.
can scoot around without having to mess around, otherwise they screw up traffic when they're cop cars.
But the thing is, then the only thing that happens is like my uncle just bought an Explorer that's a similar color as the state police Explorers. So whenever he's on the interstate, people see him coming up behind him, they start slowing down. He's got to go over, change lanes, and then he passes them. They're like, "Oh, that wasn't a cop,"
Yep,
and they start speeding back up.
Exactly. So it's on. I don't know. That's not the only reason, but I'm guessing that lets them scoot around a lot easier than when they're all painted up for the highway guys. But that's
I'm
like
sure
I
we
said,
could figure
even
out a way.
That's a
You could
state.
do you could do something where like the police that are patrolling the neighborhood, a certain percentage of them have to be from that neighborhood. You could do all kinds of crazy things, and do you can make things better. I am positive of that.
That's not
But
a that's not an ultimate answer though, because if you've got a cartel, let's say, that's in a neighborhood, and they send someone to cop school, and he comes out and he's a cop, and now he's a cop in the cartel, and they've got a cop. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't always perfect. If you've got a situation like that, then they may. I've seen enough movies and TV shows. They may want to send that guy who's questionable to someplace else, so he doesn't have. He's not useful, effective for them in that situation. I know I'm just picking a crazy situation, but I'm just saying it's not black and white.
police reform is one thing, but what these people, and thankfully, what the far left crazies are calling for isn't common sense. And it's also, it kind of reveals like, wow, they're fucking insane. Like, free housing for everybty, abolish the police.
An act, right? That's why it seems like some sort of a deliberate, intentional, situational thing, as opposed to like an actual strategic, like aware way to fucking do something, right? It just seems like
you can't even
situation.
If like I'm trying to say, like, if I could put my feet into, like, let's say I was like 1970s Black Panther Party kind of a guy, and I was like, and we took a time machine to now.
Holy crap!
Even they
create. I didn't even think.
No, I'm just saying, like, even them, they would come in now and go, "What are you guys asking for? Oh, you're fucking batshit crazy."
Well,
like, like these crackers ain't never going for that shit. You're bugging
at all. That's the people today are desperately trying to create some similarity to what happened in the old days.
In the 60s,
I'll say back and forth. I believe, and I'm just talking shit out of my ass from my life's perspective or whatever, but the people back then were actually living it and like literally did stuff, affected change, and then did so in such a way to like to take the higher ground, to like have been literally offended and then say it's enough that we can put this behind us and let's let our children be done with this shit instead of harping on it for the rest of the time. Like that's the bigger man, right? That's the bigger position to take. And that position was taken. The people today are not those people, and they're desperately trying to put themselves with that. And if you don't teach anyone history, that's what I fear, is if it's going to be possible for them to suggest that they have anything to do with that. But I don't think that unless I'm crazy wrong, we're not living in that situation that we lived in the 60s, or they lived in the 60s. And we're definitely not, those people aren't living today. And that was a totally different time, right? Like this is a contrived, or this is some like attempt to, I don't want to call it theater or something, but it's like,
well, it's almost no different than when, let's say this police officer in Minneapolis, right? Or when anytime you see a cop go way overboard and do something crazy, there's two choices that a prosecutor has. You can overcharge them, and then you can say, hey, look, let's charge him with murder one, which means he woke up that morning, he put on his uniform, and he said to himself, I'm going to kill me a black person, right? Like, I'm going to premeditate this out, and this is like murder one. And when they do that, they overcharge these people and they get off. And then what happens is the situation gets worse because the public in the United States sees this like injustice, that like they were charged with something against the law and then they beat it because they were overcharged. And then the other side is, which is why we start to suspect like we start to suspect like something is up.
It doesn't smell right.
Hey, just to go off on a tangent here, you were talking about the water guns earlier, G-Webs.
Mhm.
I wrote something on the water guns and why the water guns changed, and it also relates to the orange tips on that. It was a company called Intertech back in the 80s that made water guns that actually took magazines and they looked very realistic. And kids were getting shot because cops would see them and think that they're real guns. And then also criminals would use them to rob people and rob banks because that's how realistic they looked. So because of Intertech, Congress passed a law mandating the orange tips on all the guns. And that's when gun manufacturers started going away from making realistic water guns. Just an interesting little side fact.
Yeah, I remember that. We just had the anniversary last month where that gun was invented or whatever went by, and then it was like the guy's birthday really close to then too. So I just put all that stuff into the calendar. But that's a good point. I remember when all that happened because I was a little kid when all that happened, and I was, if anything, like other kids played with, like nowadays kids play with video games. I played with guns. I had every kind of toy gun. All I had was toy guns. I played guns constantly. So I definitely remember living through all those, but the orange tips and that kind of crap. But I never thought about it. I should add that law because my question is, and I don't know if you know, but sometimes like the Undetectable Firearms Act, nothing ever happened. A bunch of fucking senators saw a fucking movie and were alarmed and created a fucking federal law against innovation.
Because of Glock 7s.
Yeah, seriously, they got scared of a movie. Literally got scared of what a movie did. And the fucking, if you read the Glock book, the guy who they hired at the movie to be like the expert said, "This is wrong. The way you've written this makes no sense. You sound like an idiot." And the writer said, "Oh, I think it sounds good. I'm deliberately putting this fake bullshit in here about the Glock 7 being porcelain and all that." Literally made a creative, fictional decision, said something that sounded more dramatic intentionally at the counsel of the person they're paying to be correct, right? Made that decision. And that's fine. It's a movie, right? But then fucking representatives watch that movie, get scared, write fucking federal law that expires every 10 years, and they fucking renew it every 10 years. There was a gap there where they didn't, but 3D printing, boom, right back on that sphere, and they went back and made that law. So my question is, did a kid ever really get killed? And I don't want to dismiss anything if it happened, but did a kid ever really get killed? And then
with the Intertech guns?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's multiple cases.
Because I don't remember that growing up. And I would think that because when I was growing up, they were still trying to get rid of guns, that I would have heard more about it. And I was totally into these guns. So I would have, my ears would have perked up if they were trying to take my guns away. So I am going to go look more into that. And then as far as the crime thing, I mean, I'm almost sure it sounds legit. But again, I don't know. I think that definitely made a change. DB's old enough to remember this, and you're almost old enough. Crump, I don't think Guns is old enough, or Barbecue's old enough for this one, but it was a big difference. When you could own guns and BB guns and everything that looked realistic, that was the funnest shit ever. That was fun. That was an awesome time to exist. And it was like chopping off your freaking pieces of your body to like lose your freaking tip and then make the fucking whole thing orange. And then, like I was saying, like slowly make it stupider and stupider looking. It's frustrating. I don't even know what it's like growing up to never see a gun that looks legit. But you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother facet of being a gun owner that they've taken from us. And I think that it has an effect.
I'm gonna pit one of the
they've got airsoft guns now. And some of those airsoft guns are really realistic looking. Even some of them even in weight.
I could get a new gun every weekend. My grandma would take me to Candy to get a new gun. Like every weekend, I would get a new gun, a little shotgun or freaking whatever. Can you get airsoft that often, or can you break your guns and get new ones? Airsoft costs
yeah.
$2,000, right?
No, if you want really high end ones, but just the simple spring loaded ones, they're like $20.
Okay, well then I'm okay with that. But
I say I actually was having a pest problem around my house, and I didn't want to kill it. It was a possum. And I was like, I'll buy an airsoft gun, give him a couple pokes with that. Hopefully he'll get the point and, not come back around. So I just went down to the local sporting goods store. I bought airsoft gun, looks exactly like Beretta 92 FS. If you cut off the orange tip, you would have no idea if I were to take photos of them, which is going to be which.
The thing is, if you make a gun look exactly like a 9mm, nobody's really going to be clear of it anyway.
Hey, G-Webs.
Yeah.
I put a couple of my links for my research that I used in my article. One is so if you want to look into it, those are two. One, I mean, they're not good quality because they're from like 1980s, so it's not like a web page. It's like you actually have to read through the articles and stuff like that.
I'm totally used to that. That's what real research is anyway.
Yeah, a lot of people don't do real research. You know that.
But no, thanks. I appreciate it.
But yeah, I have more if you need it. But I mean, they were pretty good. They'll put you on the right track and everything else.
All right, here's the deal. The dog is going nuts, so there's no need to shut it down. I'll let you all keep chatting here, but I got to take the dog out. She's
well, I am about to go. But basically in 1989 and actually let's go to 1988, for example. Intertech guns were used in crimes 1,618 times. So yeah. So, and there was only 31,650 of them in circulation at that time. So that's a really huge percentage. So that's why. I don't agree with the ban, but that's why there was a ban.
And I remember like a little kid getting killed with it or something like
that. Oh
yeah,
there was multiple. I put an article with 3 kids were killed, but I think there was like around close to 100, and they only made 31,000 of them. So
yeah, and then I remember the red ring, and then it was like, all right, so this red ring. So then they just wanted to make sure that if you were going to do something stupid, you were going to take one step. You just needed to take one step to make it black, and then they could say, hey, look, he painted it fucking black. Like he took the red ring. And I remember buying those toys when I was a kid because I'm like G-Web's age, where it was like, yeah, I'm not fucking painting the red ring black because I'm not stupid. And I was maybe 10 years old or something. But like, why? Yeah, there might have been times I did. But, like if you would go outside, it just depended where you lived, the population.
Yeah,
I remember I had one time, I had an Intertech in my house. I was a kid, so let's say I was 10 years old, maybe 11. I had it on the table, and I remember like the cable guy came to the house, and he saw it, and he thought it was real. And then later on, me and my mom left the house, and we came back, and my mom, I'll never forget this. The police entered the home, and they searched the house.
Yeah. Well, I got the statistics here. In 1987, 86 people were killed for having Intertech guns, and police thought they were real. 1988, 72. Altogether, there was 252 people killed because police thought that the Intertech gun were real.
Yeah.
So it was 252 people total killed.
God. Well, in a country with 300 million people, it's a horrible number. But I remember also in New York City where someone was killed from a Three Musketeer bar.
Yeah.
In New York City, like he had a Three Musketeers bar and it was silver, and the cops just lit him up because it looked like a fucking knife or a gun or something in the dark. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Those guns were they were fucking realistic, man. That was the whole point. They were like as realistic as you could get. Well, Tech 9 and a fucking Uzi. It was crazy. And then you would think, hey, if you were a parent, would you really let your kid run around a fucking populated urban center with those things? That's not a good call. In the backyard, maybe. You want to play G.I. Joe in the backyard? Or are you going to like leave the backyard, leave the fucking neighborhood, and run around with those things on your BMX bike? That's a dumb idea. You know, but common sense, people. You know, like some of the first BB guns I had, they looked real as shit. The Crossman Colt Python look-alike, and then there was a 1911
They still have those.
look-alike. Right. And I'm saying, like, we knew better than, like, you're not going to take that to the fucking mall, buddy. Like, my mom, you know, like, even if I snuck it, if I put that in my waistband as a 8-year-old and went to the mall with it and then, like, pulled it out at a fucking, you know, in front of a movie theater at the mall or something, and I got shot. I mean, that even back then at 8 or 9 years old.
Did we get cut off?
I knew back then that was dumb. You know, you can't bluff. The thing looked real enough that you wanted it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So if the thing looked real enough that you wanted it so bad that because it looked so real, then even at a certain age, like let's say 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, when you're in those elementary school years, you're not that dumb that you're going to realize this thing looks so real that I wanted it, that I would never point it at a fucking cop. I would never bring it to the mall. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was common sense there.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I hear you, man.
All right. Sorry, it took a little bit longer. The mountains are on fire here. And even though I live nowhere near the mountain that's on fire, I thought it was 60% contained, but evidently it's 10% contained. And it's interesting to see 5,000 acres on fire on a mountainside from across town is still pretty impressive.
Wow.
Well, it's amazing. I don't know, call it impressive. It's devastating, obviously, but yeah, crazy. It's basically from the horizon, 2 fingers up, just a line of flame and about, kind of a big C shape. You can imagine, lightning strike, and it kind of comes out like a ring, and starts to burn in a line, I guess, depending on terrain. So at night you can see the, it kind of dies down because of the cool. And it's more of it's not a raging fire. Well, it probably is a raging fire if I can see it from here, but relatively died down a little bit. But yeah, amazing. Anyway, so I just thought they were kind of looking at that for a bit. No way to take a picture of it unless I had a really, really good camera.
Hey, G-Webs, I'm gonna put a link in there for you for later about it's a YouTube video about toy guns. It's about 5 minutes long, but it's hilarious. So you can watch that later.
I know.
It's a whole animation thing. It's by a person named Brewster. And he does like animation of your childhood, and he's talking about toy guns and the idiot walking around who decides to walk down Main Street with it. It's hilarious.
I used to carry mine around all the time, but I guess they weren't really too concerned about a little kid walking around with a bunch of guns and a oversized army shirt. But yeah, I used to carry around. My dad took a M1 carbine stock, probably a sporterized one because it was nicer wood than an old army one. But like something sporterized that had some problem, they probably had to be cracking it or something. And then he took like a piece of dowel rod and painted it black and stuck it in there like a barrel, and then just took some putty or something and kind of put where the to attach the piece of wood to the stock. It was literally just some putty or something, but it ended up he painted it black and it ended up looking just like a M1 carbine. It didn't weigh up nothing because it was all wood and some putty, so it didn't really weigh anything. And it had a shoulder strap on it or the sling. So I carried that thing around constantly. It had a clothespin, an old wooden clothespin put in it for the bolt or for the charging handle, and man, I love the shit out of that. But I know from 6 feet away it had to look like an M1 carbine, right? But I don't know, different whatever circumstances and whatever. Every cop that looked at me didn't think I was some kind of crazy, I don't know what the hell I would have been back then, terrorist, I guess, with a carbine.
Yeah.
But whatever, I guess we've gone round and round on this one. We're an hour and a half in or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get ready and go to sleep.
Right on. You got anything to plug besides the fundraiser, the GoFundMe you've got going for your
That's
niece?
the most important thing that I have. You can always check me out at John Crump 2 on YouTube, but or Facebook at Real John Crump. But yeah, that is the only thing I really have. Besides, I'll be plugging a new Sony movie coming out. Sony's having me plug their movies, and they give me a bunch of free movies to give out. So I'll be doing that soon. But the GoFundMe is like the big thing right now.
Right on. Hope she's feeling better, or at least gets better. And
In fact, like everything I make from my writing, YouTube videos, everything is now all going like super chats, Patreons, what I get paid to write. That's all going towards that because their medical bills are insane.
I imagine.
They have insurance, but the copays are just crazy. Oh, yeah.
The idea that when people can help out, it just eases the situation. The money is just a facilitator of convenience or time, so that they can order something, not think about it, or
Yeah, well, right.
You get a delivery of pizza or something, and
yeah, well, we have a food train going on too, but the medical bills right now is like at $50,000, and and they're not really working because their daughter, like they had to do CPR on her a few days ago, so they're not in any shape to be working. So both parents are just, and they have another little girl, and it's just terrible. So I'm trying to do everything possible. I mean, she's our goddaughter too. Yeah, so I go. I don't know if I should be saying this or not, but I go. I'm like all strong for my wife, but then I go in my closet and I cry because, yeah, she's like a daughter to me.
yeah, right on. There's not any words for it, so
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I really can't explain it more than that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you for having me on.
You bet.
I gotta have you back on my show sometime.
We've got the couple of things coming up here. We've got the we can do a 2A patch batch for 2A groups, right? So I'm in a process of like getting people coordinated so that I can get the artwork done so that we can set it up, go live. The goal would be if I can get everybody on board and get the art and everything together, just the initial stuff, to go live so that it can end on July 9th. Yeah, June, July 9th, so about a month from now. And then that way everything goes through. It takes a while for the money to go through, and then for everything to start being manufactured. But I think that should, based off of prior years and everything. And it seems like I've got a project in the works right now for Arizona Citizens Defense League, and seems like it's going smoothly. So if everything goes smoothly, that should get all the patches out for the 2A patch batch before the Gun Rights Policy Conference in September. So that would be the goal, to basically do the same thing we did last year, to have sets available, and the people that buy the sets get one of each patch from 12 different pro 2A gun owners' rights groups, either doing logos for them or some sort of a patch that would be appropriate for whatever projects they're working on. So each person that contributes gets a set of those patches, all 12, and then the purchase of those sets will also purchase 100 patches for each of the groups. So each group will get 100 of their own patches. We'll each get 100 of their own patches to do with as they please. So like last year, we were able to get 12 different groups, a set of 100 patches. This year, it'll be less individual channels or whatever. It'll be mostly organizations or projects that involve a lot of people. And again, the goal is to get them a resource that's non-perishable, that they can ship if necessary, that it's not left-handed or right-handed. It's not for girls or boys. It's not for winter or summer. It's just a thing that's, again, non-perishable. It's not perfect for everything, but it works on like hats and jackets and range bags or whatever. It can be used as a prop or a watermark in a photograph. Can be gifted or used as a fundraiser. But really, the project is also not just to facilitate getting that catalyst, that gizmo, so that they have something to fundraise or they have something to work with on future projects, but to have the 12 participants work together and also gain some allies, some people that they can work with, either to to complement their strengths or to their weaknesses, I guess, or to maybe challenge each other. So that was I would say the one failure from last year. One of the things we'll be doing as we get into the 2A patch batch this year is evaluate last year's a little bit, so we can learn from mistakes and grow the project on to, achieve things with the project more than just get some patches made. We're not just trying to be a patch company. That's not really the goal. The goal is to, like I was saying, get them product and get them an opportunity to work together. And then as I was setting that one up, Travis said something over on the Patreon. So I thought, you know what? Why not do a gun channels one too? So we're going to do an even smaller one that will just pop up. It'll only be 50 available, and we'll do the same thing, except it'll be 10 patches, and it'll be just the old gun channels live channels. So Travis, Hit or Miss, Clover, Ghost, Rick's Life as I See It, Gizzard, and I'm probably missing people. Budget, the Corker, the Friday Night Corker, and Knives was out here earlier. So get a set of gun channels patches. If everybody jumps on board with that one, we'll run that one a little shorter, and that'll just be a short and sweet. Let's get these guys some patches. It won't be as many because I didn't want to make it as elaborate. I don't know, how many people are going to be able to do it at all, let alone with another patch batch, right at the same time almost. So it'll be more like each of the channels will get something like less than 50 patches and not 100 plus like the big patch batch. All right, well, with all that, stay tuned, I guess. I've got feelers out there and we're working on it, but it takes a little bit of time, I guess, for people to read emails and to do whatever they're doing so that they can get to where they can read an email and then reply. But as soon as we get some responses, we'll be able to click the switches and all that stuff set up. It's just a matter of flipping the switches on it. barbecue. You got anything else before we head out today?
If anybody watches my channel, I'm gonna be probably AWOL for the next week or so. I'm trying to get some videos queued up to play throughout the week and pre-posted, whatever they call that. Anyways, because I'm having surgery tomorrow and all that good stuff. So if I don't get anything out and people are wondering, if I fell off the earth, no, it's just, had surgery and laid up.
Right on. So without being too personal or whatever, hopefully everything's all right with that. And yeah, if you get to schedule some stuff, great. Otherwise, I don't know how to get up here, but you can get a lot of even if you can't,
Yeah.
Post videos always, you can get a lot of editing done.
Yeah, I'm not sure how mobile I'll be just to mess with the camera and tripod and all that fun jazz. But I'm hoping, I'll be able to get stuff filmed and put out still. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to, but
whenever you're a doctor, whenever you're doing, just let them know you're a YouTuber and you need to have your mouse button or your finger left alone.
Yeah. I say Patriot in the Dark had actually commented saying, while I'm in the hospital, perhaps I could do like a remote live stream or something. I told him I'll just tell the surgeon, give me a local and keep me awake. I'll just live stream while they're doing the procedure.
There you go. I wonder if YouTube
be interesting. Probably not. They'd have some sort of issue with it.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anything. I've never looked at anything. It's never been offered to me. I've never looked at anything on YouTube though, so again, probably the logarithm wouldn't bother. Anyway, so again, good luck with everything. Hopefully it goes as smoothly as possible for you.
I appreciate it. Yes, thank you.
Otherwise, thanks everybody for showing up tonight. I think it's a pretty interesting show. He is an old-time gun channels person. So, and I guess before gun channels, really, back in the days of just YouTube comments, and actually he was around in the days of when YouTube went from just, you can post videos here to, we're going to make some people partners and they're going to have like special channels, like special places, like their channel where you post stuff will look different or they'll have more features and stuff. And whenever we were able to create partnerships, I think it was, or we were deemed partners, then all of a sudden, now let's go listen to the partners. They must know something better or whatever. So all of a sudden there was these audiences that didn't, like at first, it was only people that use YouTube had cameras and were part of YouTube. At least the majority of people were doing YouTube, doing stuff on YouTube. And then when they started making partners, it was like, I'm an audience. Like I don't have a camera, but I'm here because I watch YouTube. And, we're outnumbered. The people that use a camera on YouTube, there's more people that don't use a camera now. Back in the day, I don't know what the mix was, but there was certainly less division between it. There was no difference between who had them and who didn't. But now after the years, there's people that just only watch YouTube, and doom on you if you want to mess with the way they want to watch YouTube or whatever. So it's whatever. It's changing environment or whatever, but still worth putting stuff out there and getting the conversation going. You don't have to keep it on YouTube either, I guess. But depending on, like, say, what you're doing over there, I don't know. You'll be able to tell us if you have a chance, if you're feeling up to getting on and doing stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking if I'm not sleeping, I'll be in the hospital the next 3 days or so. If I'm not asleep or anything, might try and jump in tomorrow night or something, depending on how I'm feeling.
Jumping into other people's show doesn't take much more than a button push and just being awake and feeling like it kind of thing.
Exactly.
But I can totally feel. I can totally understand not feeling that.
Yeah, say I'm hoping I'll be, feeling pretty good tomorrow after everything, but I just don't want to assume that I'm going to, and then, like I said, just go AWOL for a little while and have people think I croaked or something.
Right on. Well, that's the other thing is when people are paying attention to the conversation and not watching something, then yeah, they might be wondering where somebody's at. So thanks for the heads up. And let's see, we called this one all the answers. Hopefully we get everybody all the answers. But if not, let us know in the comments, and we'll be back to pick you up later.